Welcome back to Ashua Podcast. Today I have an episode for you that I'm super passionate about. In our last episode we spoke about trauma. We learned what trauma truly is and how it arises. It was Trauma 101, and today we are going to speak about healing. Healing 101. We are going to learn how and why healing works. I'm not just going to explain energy healing. We are going to look at why different healing modalities work from a spiritual and energetic perspective. My name is Alicia. I'm an energy healer, and that is what I know. I know energy, I know healing, and this is what I do. I read energy and I create courses about energy healing and, well, things that are not very common in our physical reality. But today I want you to understand the very basics of healing. Why is it that a certain healing modality works for you but not your friend, or vice versa? Why is it that two people can have the same symptom? They both can have surgery. One is healed for life, but the other one, well, that person's symptoms reoccur again. In this episode, I want to show you why and how different healing modalities work. It's gonna be super exciting, so send this to your spiritual friend and let's get started. So for us to learn about healing, we first need to recap what trauma is. Trauma is stored emotions that usually comes from a happening that had an element of surprise to it, a big or small shock. Something unexpected happened, and at that given point in time, we didn't have the tools, the support, or time to manage and deal and process with the thing that happened. We didn't have time to process and understand what happened mentally. We didn't have time or support to process it emotionally. And when we don't have the support we need to process something, then it usually gets stuck in our system. So if you yet haven't watched the previous episode about trauma, I highly suggest that you do so first, because you will understand what I'm about to say way better. And now I do want to add an element here in the podcast that I usually speak about in my courses. You see, I oftentimes hear people say that trauma is stored in the body, trauma is stored in the fascia, and yes, it is. But I am convinced that it's not only stored in our body, it's mainly stored in our energetic field. Have you heard about the aura? Have you heard people speak about that we have an energy field all around us? Have you heard about the energy bodies? Well, this field that we have around us, what many people don't know, is that this field actually ranges all the way through us. Do you remember in the previous episode when we said that we are meant to have experiences? Something happens and we are supposed to have an experience. The next second something else happens, and the next second something else happens, and for every second, or maybe even every microsecond, we are supposed to have an experience. And it is our energy bodies and our energy field that interacts. It's the bridge between our soul and our physical body. So when something happens, we experience that in our energy bodies first. We are spiritual and energetic beings. We have an essence all around us and all the way through us. And it is this very essence that makes it possible for us to think, to feel, and to move. Without the energy bodies, without this essence, we wouldn't be able to think, feel, or move. So when something happens, it is our energy bodies, the bridge between our soul and our physical body, that notice this. And we have a frequency that ranges through our body, telling our nervous system, our fascia, our cells how to react and what to do. But it starts in the energy bodies. So I want you to imagine that you have an energy field all around you. And when you have an experience, that field shifts its frequency, and depending on the frequency that field has, your body will be instructed to act in different ways. If your emotional energy body is in the frequency of sadness, your body will be instructed to start to cry, to have the physical response and experience of being sad. And as we said in the previous episode, if we do not cry, chances are that we will store that energy of experience in our throat. So let's start with the throat in our first example in this episode. I want to start off with the healing modality that is supposed to be the most obvious one for us all, and that is surgery. Every human believes in surgery, that it is possible to remove something that isn't good for the body in a surgery. You can do lots of other things, but now we're speaking about things that we want to remove. If we ever have something that we do want to remove, the reason we want to remove that is because of its unhealthy properties. So if someone has a lot of stored emotions, a lot of stored grief in their throat, cells can start to build in an unhealthy way. And let's say two people are having this problem. Two people are having the problem that they have unhealthy cells in their throat, and both get surgery. One person is healed for life. They're healed for good. They no longer have problem. While the other person, is healed after surgery, but then the symptom and the unhealthy cells reoccur. The reason why a symptom reoccur is because the ball of energy, the energetic trauma, is still there. You can portray it as a ball of energy in your throat. And what is the energy ball? The energy ball is usually the emotional energy that we didn't process. That ball of energy will affect every single cell within that energy ball. And if you remove the cells that are unhealthy in that energy ball, the new cells that will come in that energy ball, if the energy ball is still there, the energy ball will continue to affect all cells in the ball as long as the energy ball is still there. And when it comes to the throat, I do want to say what I see as an energy healer. Many people say that grief is connected to the throat and the lungs. But what I've seen, especially when I worked with people who are experiencing fatigue, a person who experiences fatigue, they have a lot of things they want to say. They want to explain how they feel, that they want to be there with their friends, but they can't. They want to explain to their doctor how they truly feel. They feel that no one understands them. They have a lot of things they want to say. It's not words that get stuck in their throat, but what they want to say is charged with emotions such as despair, frustration, anger, and grief. And when they don't manage to get all that out, that energy remains in the throat. That is why I believe, as an energy healer from a spiritual perspective, thyroid issues as an example. It's due to stored energy, can be grief, and can be any emotion that wasn't expressed. So from an energetic perspective, that is why some symptoms reoccur. The energy ball is still there. So what we want to do, yes, a person may need surgery, but we also want to make sure that we work on the root cause, the very reason why the cells got unhealthy. And from my spiritual and energetic perspective, so far, what I see to be the root cause are oftentimes our emotional state and stored emotions. And when it comes to the person who actually was healed for life, have you ever heard a person undergoing surgery say that they had epiphanies, that they got perspective on life? As that person went through the process of surgery, prior and after, that person has started to process emotions related to the root cause. So if you, after having a physical treatment, surgery, massage, fascia treatment, lymphatic drainage, whatever physical treatment you have, pay attention to your new epiphanies. Pay attention to what you want to let go of. What ideas and beliefs are no longer worth paying attention to? Who can you forgive? Is it worth being angry at a certain person? Or now that you have some perspective, are you willing to let that go? Usually, when we do physical treatments, if we imagine the energy bubble or the energy ball and then the cells within the ball, when we move the cells, if we massage them, we stimulate the energy as well. We get the energy in motion again. And that helps us notice it, become aware of it, and it gives us the opportunity to process it. So many times this happens without people realizing it. But if we use massage as an example, imagine a person being really, really stressed on their way there. They've been stressed for a really long time and they have this massage and afterwards they feel more relaxed. When you are relaxed, you feel safe. You can be more present. You will start to think different thoughts, what life can be like, and you will get new perspectives compared to if you were just stressing and stressing and stressing and stressing. So whenever we do a physical treatment, we do want to combine that with an internal process, and usually, most of the time, that process happens naturally. But sometimes we do need to work on our inner process more consciously. And then there are physical treatments where we see this very clearly. As an example, if you do fascia release, maybe you've seen videos on social media where people do things, they stretch and they do an exercise with their body and afterwards they start to cry, they scream. And that is when you have that emotional release instantly. So we could actually say that if the energy bodies and the energy field is the bridge between the soul and the body, the nervous system and the fascia are usually the bridge between the energy body and the body. But as an energy healer, I mainly focus on the energy body. What I do in sessions is that I stimulate the energy that I see is stuck. We help the client feel safe and relax. We start to shift the energy in the entire body, and then we start to work on the blockages. I psychically view and look at, okay, what emotion is this? Okay, I can feel that you have this emotion from here. Usually as a psychic, I get visuals in my head of what and where it comes from. I may see you being 4 years old, seeing your parents fighting real bad for the first time. I may see a parallel or past life depending on how you view time. But for energy healing to work, You don't necessarily need to see where everything comes from, but we usually need to acknowledge the feeling. And we want to make the person feel safe again. And I think a very common explanation of energy healing in the spiritual community is that we say that we raise the frequency, and when we raise the frequency, we get the energy in motion. But energy healing is not only about transforming a dark and heavy energy into light and brightness. If you really want to do the core work, remember how trauma happens. We don't feel supported, we don't feel safe. Something happened that was too much for that person to process. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to help the person feel safe. When we have a ball of energy in the body that is creating physical symptoms or energetic symptoms, that ball is there due to tension and friction. So what can we give our clients to help them relax? Don't necessarily want to pull them force. Many people need help accepting that that is how they feel. Usually when it comes to trauma, it's so scary that the emotions in themselves become scary. It becomes scary to feel that emotion, because when they feel that emotions, they are being reminded of the trauma. So helping a person accept that this is how you feel. And that doesn't mean that we say what happened is okay. But we need to accept how what happened made you feel. No matter what healing modality you do. Even if you simply shift your exercise routine or start to eat differently. Whenever we experience healing, what has happened is that we have helped the energy that's been stored to move and flow again. And unconsciously, subconsciously, or very, very, very consciously, we have processed layers or maybe even the core of what made energy get stuck in your body in the first place. So all healing, no matter if it's about food, exercise, massage, surgery, or spiritual energy healing work. The reason why healing works is because we get the energy in motion and we process it. Can be accepting and just letting it flow out. It can be us transforming dark and heavy energies to light and brightness. And the reason certain healing modalities work for you and not your friend is simply because different healing modalities make you and your friend feel safe at different levels. It helps you move and process the energy differently. Some are open to certain healing methods, and oftentimes our belief systems plays a huge role as well. If you believe that something will heal you, it is way more likely that it will. Placebo. It's real. But for healing to happen, we want to help energy move, flow, and transform by us processing and letting go.